Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first ever episode of the Life Beyond Earth podcast. I'm your host, Mario Varelli, and today we have something special. In the first episode of the podcast, we are going to be interviewing an extremophile known as the Pompeii worm. Now let us welcome the Pompeii worm to our show today. Welcome, Pompeii worm.
Hello.
Hello, Pompeii worm.
Hello, Mario. Thank you for inviting me to be on the first episode of your show today. It is an honor that you have asked me to be here.
No problem, Pompeii. Is it okay if I call you Pompeii, or would you like me to use something else?
Pompeii is good with me.
Awesome. So, Pompeii, we have called you on the show today to learn a little bit more about you. So, for starters, can you tell us a little bit about where you are from?
Well, you see, I don't really live in a specific place. I live more on what is called a rise, the East Pacific Rise to be exact. So basically, I live on a hydrothermal level at deep sea vents of the East Pacific Rise.
Fascinating stuff. And can you tell us exactly what the ecosystem is like down there?
Well, let me tell you, it is pretty dark down there. Where I come from is home to several deep sea volcanoes that are formed on the borderline of what are known as tectonic plates. It consists of an ecosystem with a biodiversity hotspot because most bacteria that live down there is converted from mineral to thermal springs into sugar.
Pretty interesting stuff. And I hear a lot about tectonic plates down at sea level. It is the main reason why earthquakes happen if they hit each other.
Exactly right.
Pompeii, if you don't mind me asking, where does your name come from?
It is actually very interesting that you have asked me such a question. My name has a very historical meaning. My scientific name is Albanella Pompeiana, but the name Pompeii comes from the Roman city that was decimated during the eruption of Mount Vesuvius right before the 1st century.
Oh, so were you born back in the 1st century then?
Oh gosh, no. With my gonochoric species, we have a specific lifespan. It is not really a certain time frame, but if certain areas get too hot, we are unable to survive.
So in what ways are your species extreme?
So in specific terms, the tubes that my species build are on rocky vent chimneys. This means that we are able to survive certain heat temperatures. We are able to survive very, very hot temperatures, which is great for the survival of our species.
So in such big words, we can say that you're made of a flame.
No, Mario. It just happens that my species is able to survive these extreme conditions.
On the topic of extreme conditions, can you tell me more if your life form prefers an extreme environment, or can you just simply survive extreme conditions?
In so many words, my species thrives under extreme conditions, so I wouldn't say that we prefer extreme conditions, but when it comes to living in extreme conditions, we are able to grow and develop well.
And when it comes to thriving in these conditions, how does the biology of your species allow you to survive in it?
Great question. So our form, I guess to speak, is that we are able to tolerate certain temperatures, up to 55 degrees Celsius to be exact, and that is very hot. But we have something called bacterial coating, which allows us to redistribute heat in order for us to remain cool surrounded by hot temperatures.
And coming with these extreme temperatures, does your species have any beneficial factors?
I think we benefit a lot from living so deep in the ocean. As a species, along with other bacterial organisms, we are able to regulate our own temperature. And as I said before, we can break down minerals for aiding certain hosts.
Interesting stuff. Is there anything else special about your species that you would like to share with us today?
Why, of course, my species have a specific symbiotic relationship with a certain type of bacteria, as a bacteria is a source of food and vitamin for us because what we are able to produce is used by the bacterial organism that live within the ecosystem.
Do you know the name in which the bacteria you're symbiotic with is called?
It is called Epsilon proteobacteria. They live on our backs.
That is pretty cool how you're able to be symbiotic with anything for the matter.
It is pretty cool if I do say so myself.
Is there anything special in particular that tells us more about life beyond our planet?
Well, I don't think I can give you a specific answer that you were looking for. But I could say that my species does a lot of things that no other species could do, which is pretty different.
And what exactly is so different about your species that can make me and everyone else question about life beyond Earth?
Maybe the fact that I am able to live under vast majorities of heat, even for a short amount of time. We can withstand 105 degrees Celsius of very strong heat, and not many species can survive that temperature rate.
Well, I guess you can say you got me thinking a lot more.
Glad to hear that.
Well, I think we're going to close it off there. And thank you, Pompey, for being on the show today.
Thank you again for having me.
And thank you to all the ladies and gentlemen out there who tuned in to the first episode of the Life Beyond Earth podcast. It has been your host, Mario. Until next time.